Dixiana, South Carolina, a long way from everything but trouble. A lot of history's happened on the old state road. Once it connected Columbia and Charleston. Now it ends in the woods by a little Baptist church that's been standing here since 1857. Folks worshiped on this site back in Revolutionary days when slavery flourished. For people like Elsie Simmons, memories and faith run deep here.
I really do. I love this church. It's my father's church.
Your father's church?
Yes, and my mother.
They went here?
Yeah, they all passed. They were members of this church.
Soon and very soon, yes, we are going to see the King. Soon and very soon, we are going to see the King. Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah, we're going to see the King.
We want to talk to you this morning from John the Divine.
Sunday after Sunday, the folk of St. John Baptist Church left their troubles at the door or hoisted them with hymn and prayer to the mercies of heaven. But the singing and praying almost stopped last winter. Vandals came and did the work of the devil. They shot up the place, smashed the windows, wrecked the pulpit and light fixture, poured beer all over the carpet, and desecrated the cross with the figure of Christ on it. What the church secretary found when she arrived here broke her heart.
It was horrible. It was like a massacre had been here. When I drove up and got out of my car, I came, and the first thing that approached me was KKK scratched on the doors.
Ku Klux Klan?
Yes. Not that I'm saying they were at fault or were at cause, but this is what was on the door by the vandals.
Barbara Simmons has been a member here since she was a child.
So I went into the Sunday school room, and what should meet my eyes but the red sacrament cloth that was on our table, they had taken and used in the worst manner in the Sunday school room, besides the broken windows that were in there. Went to the bathroom on a sacrament cloth.
Elsie Simmons, Barbara's mother-in-law, remembers the terror of the past year.
Oh, just like I say, I felt that lots of times that people would come in, you know, throw something in the church and try to kill us or something like that. And, you know, when there were people riding around on motorcycles all around your church and shooting different places, you can get afraid.
And you think some members just stopped coming out of fear?
That's right. That's right. They told us so.
This is the grave that was desecrated by the vandals. By the wheels of the vehicle dropped down in and bruised his casket, and we had to come out and have the funeral home to redo this grave over.
The vandals didn't stop at trying to destroy the church. That wouldn't have been hard to do anyway. The congregation is poor and the building had fallen into disrepair. But the vandals also invaded the cemetery behind it, raging against the dead. Tombstones were toppled and graves ripped open. Amy Murray heard about the devastation the next morning when she came to work at the office where she and Barbara Simmons are both employed. They've been friends for several years. What did you see when you walked through the cemetery?
Well, I just started back here, and I had a feeling, well, I just broke down and cried. You just had to have seen it. It was that the grave desecrated, the new grave, and the cross and flowers and everything. And it's hard to talk about it. It's just...
Did you say, well, we can do something about this?
I didn't say anything. I had a feeling that I had to do something. I didn't know what.
Amy Murray is not one to weep for long about the sins of the world. She'd rather plow them under.
All right, those boards are going to come down off those windows. You got the windows today to put up?
No, well, we may have a few. I don't know if we have.
She believes in miracles, the kind wrought by willing hands and hearts and the sweat of a good day's labor. A miracle, says her friend Barbara Simmons, is exactly what Amy made happen here. At Amy's call, the volunteers turned out, as many as 2,000 at one time or another. Men, women, children, black and white, of different faiths and from very different histories.
Where do you live? That's crazy.
Tom Turnipseed's grandfather belonged to the Ku Klux Klan, and Tom, an attorney now, was once a campaign director for the then unreconstructed George Wallace.
Well, there's been in the last couple of years an upsurge in racist activities. Ku Klux Klan, which is the history of this, is just terrible. I don't even know for sure whether the Klan was involved in desecrating this church, but when you use those letters KKK, you know what they mean.
If good can drive out the bad, these volunteers are determined to prove it. They've cleaned, scrubbed, hammered, sawed, drilled, nailed, and painted. Some brought tools, some came with food, others gave money. County lawmen donated $1,000. A farmer brought a hog named Red.
Looks good, don't it?
And Red made the ultimate sacrifice of himself. All 500 pounds of himself. Worth $300. Miracles, you see, do happen.
Were you surprised that so many people responded to the needs of the church?
I really was. I really was. I truly was. I was amazed and I was astonished and I was just overwhelmed by seeing all this being said and done, you know, by these people.
So this was the first time in your recollection that the two races had worked together on something in this area?
Yes,
to this
in
extent.
this area.
You think that, does this signify that things have changed for the better, or is it just a special circumstance that's not likely to be repeated?
I would say it was done in an act of, to my opinion, Christian love and mankind, but I can't say that that's the way it will continue.
You can repair a steeple, refurbish a sanctuary, and repaint a choir loft, but the human heart needs renovation too. Otherwise, meanness lingers. Acts of violence continue against St. John Baptist Church. Barbara Simmons was run off a highway by an unknown stalker, and Amy almost got it too.
The car had been sitting in a field. You know how they have these little roads into these fields. Back behind some bushes, I noticed it as I passed, and they came out and twice hit my bumper trying to knock me off the road. Now, it was a car that I had not seen before. It was a maroon-colored car. It had 4 or 5 white males, I would say 25, 30 years old, in the car. And I managed to get enough dust on that dirt road so they couldn't bump me anymore, but it came flying in here.
What about mail, phone calls? Have you had that sort of thing?
A lot of phone calls.
I had phone calls.
What do they say?
You want to know what most of them say? They just yell, "I love her."
The members of St. John Baptist Church and their newfound neighbors aren't letting the meanness stop them. They've turned adversity into discovery. Digging among the unmarked graves in the cemetery, they have found clues that cast light on the ways of the Old South. Working to resurrect a church almost left in ruins by vandals, they are finding clues that could point to the new.
It's shown what the people of Lexington County are really all about now. I've seen some people just change so much in their attitude toward, when I would know that they were known as racist. You ought to see them now with the people of St. John.
KKK. We all know what that means. That's intended to frighten God's people. But God's people, black and white, are not going to be afraid anymore. Hate and fear. Hate and fear is not going to come back in this country. We've had enough of it. It's out there. We've got to always stand up and speak out and fight it wherever we see it. And when I look at this diverse group of people brought together by good, God-fearing human beings, good Christian people, women like Amy Murray and Barbara Simons, and all of the people that have worked so hard, we're not going to let it come back here in Dixiana, South Carolina. We're not going to let it come back in Lexington, South Carolina.
You think the church is stronger today for having overcome these attacks of vandalism?
I believe so, and I hope and trust the Lord that they won't bother us anymore.
Do you think they might? Do you fear that?
Well, a little bit, kinda.
But you are going to keep on coming.
I'm gonna keep on. Yes, I will.
So glad to see you today.